Hello folks, in this video I'd like to show you the RounderSounds Small Blender. Now this is a pedal that I've designed to help me achieve a very specific sound, but it's a great sound in my opinion, and I think you might like it too. So let me tell you a little bit about this then. So it's it's currently in a late prototype stage, and you can see here that I haven't quite got the enclosure drill coordinates sorted out, but we're getting there. I think the next iteration will be the right shape, and the graphics I'm going to change. It's also I think I'm going to change this as well. This is the treble cut, and a little bit more about that in a minute. So what you do, you plug your guitar into here, you plug your amp into here, and you take a signal here, plug it into an effect that you want to blend, and then plug it back in here. So this is like an effects loop. And there's a volume control for the volume of the dry signal and the volume of the wet signal. There's a phase switch for if the stuff you've put in the effects loop happens to flip the phase. And then there's this treble cut, and then there's a bypass. So in the bypass, it's a true bypass. You get out of here, you get what you put in here, and whatever you've got in the loop doesn't happen. What else do we need to say? Yeah, so the treble cut. When I first made this video, I got a message from a friend. He said, "Bill, why have you made a pedal with a treble cut? Nobody wants a treble cut. Everybody wants a treble boost. You know, Brian May used a treble boost. David Gilmour used a treble boost. If you make a treble cut, you're an idiot." Well, there is actually some rationale, and it's the same rationale as why some people prefer an analog delay with a darker sound, and they like it not to sort of override the notes you're playing. The repeat notes from the analog delay, they sit behind. They create a more subtle effect than perhaps a digital delay on full volume. You know, so that was the reason really I made this, was because I wanted to put a phaser. Sorry for the dog barking now. I wanted to put a phaser in the background of my sound rather than have it in the foreground. Yeah, let me just show you my pedal board. So here it is. Here's my phase 90. If I like the sound going straight through it, but I like the sound going straight through it in small doses. It's it's a bit too intense to have it on all the time. But with the small blender, it becomes more of a sound that I would want to use all the time. And I also like to use it with some delay and some compression. Please don't get confused by this. This isn't switched on at all in any of this video, okay? Ignore it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to record a loop onto a ditto looper. It's a bit of Pink Floyd, and the sound you'll hear as I'm recording the loop is with the delay and the hypergravity, as well as the small blender. And I will set it up with I'll set it up like that. So there's going to be a little bit of wet. The dry is on full. So when it's on full, that's unity gain. That's actually flipping the phase, because the phase 90 that I put in the effects loop it's a phase flipper as well as a phaser. It's a kind of a coincidence that it does that. Right, I'm just going to change t-shirts and go back in time and record the loop. On. So now I've got my loop recorded, let's have a look at how the small blender helps bring out the best tone. So here's my effects board. The loop is on the ditto here, and that feeds through here up to the small blender. The small blender has got the phase 90 in its effects loop, and then the output from the small blender goes into this graphic EQ and then off to the amp. And let's start by hearing the loop without the phaser on. Now I've turned both the wet and the dry down, and it's completely silent. So with the wet, you can cut treble from it. And also you can cut treble from the dry. If you cut it from either the wet or the dry, or neither. Now, I've cranked them both up and it's gone quiet. That's because they're out of phase with each other. And the reason they're out of phase is because this switch flipped the phase, but we'll see why in a minute. Now if I introduce the phase again, we've got a kind of a thin sound. And now we've got a more full sound. So the phaser flips the phase. Now I like this with just a little bit of the phaser and with the treble cut on the phaser. And with some delay and some compression.